So now let's look at the tolerable risk. So basically, sometimes we confuse it with acceptable risk. This is basically a form of the acceptable risk, but totally in a different scenario. So let's define it first. So risk that is estimated acceptable considering the benefits gained from the activity. Benefits outweigh the potential harm. So basically, the tolerable risk is related to those activities. So by nature, we consider them, they should not occur or we should not conduct them on the first hand. But when we look at the benefits of the activities and compare them with the consequences, then we realize that their benefits outweigh the consequences and we conduct them. So now let's look into the key accounts of such activities. So such activities basically are managed by developing and implementing effective procedures and control measures. And also then we continually monitor and review them to assess their performance or probable consequences. So now let's understand it with the example. So we have a hospital where we know that the risk of the infection to the patient is very high just because we use same equipment on the different patients. But on the first hand, we don't want to do that. We want to buy a new equipment for each patient. Is that possible in all the cases? No, that is not possible because the medical equipment are very, very expensive and we cannot afford them to buy for each patient. So what we do? So basically, we control the risk of the infection by implementing the sterilization process, and we develop and implement strong and robust procedures to make sure that all the equipments are sterilized before we use them on the another patient. So this way, by implementing strict control measures, we bring the risk to the acceptable level, and this acceptable risk is called tolerable risk. So now let's look at another example. So there is another activity, let's say demolition activity. So basically, on the first hand, we know that this is a hazardous activity and we do not want to execute it. But when we look at the benefits of it compared to its consequences, like say, maybe the old structure is very weak and may collapse anytime. Or maybe there is a new plan of using the land for some other more beneficial purpose. So when we compare these benefits with the consequences, then we realize that the implementing or executing the demolition activity is worth doing it. So what we do? So basically we develop and implement a robust safe system of work for the demolition activities, and we implement them and so that all the risks are controlled effectively and they are under the acceptable level. Now these risks are called tolerable risks.